What happens when you have a crazy behavioral problem followed by a short temper issue? Well, you get Ronnie O'Sullivan, the snooker legend who's widely known for his crazy behavioral issues. And there were some of the hottest moments in his game regarding this, which made things go a little too far. Starting off with number 10, when O'Sullivan hit his own head with the snooker table. This was the moment from one of his games when he missed his shot and showed his anger to the table by hitting own head. Now I understand. How does it feel when you miss your shot, but hitting your head will not make your problem go away? But it seemed like O'Sullivan couldn't quite understand that. Here's how it looked. Surprising, right? But guess what? We're only getting started. On number 9, we have Ronnie O'Sullivan calling young players half-decent amateurs. Like, can you believe that? But let me tell you, it did happen. In one of his interviews, Ronnie was asked this question about what his thoughts were when he played with Mark Williams, and that would he still have believed that he would be playing for more than a quarter of a century. To which Ronnie answered that he wasn't surprised of the fact that he and other big names in the game like Mark Williams would still be playing because of the kind of standard the game now has. The standard, according to O'Sullivan, was not that good, and that the young players, according to his consideration, were not as good as him or other senior players. At one point, he even called them half-decent amateurs. But let's move on to number 8, and this was the time when Ronnie gave the table a sturdy punch. Yes, that's right. If there's anything on this planet that has seen the tantrums of Ronnie O'Sullivan the most, it would be the snooker table. In one of his games, Ronnie was, again, seen very frustrated and annoyed because he couldn't get a straight pink and missed it. This, of course, led to nothing but Ronnie, who got frustrated with the situation and gave the table a hefty punch. This was something quite shocking to see, given the fact how good of a player Ronnie O'Sullivan is. It seemed as if he was so annoyed by his move that he just couldn't keep his frustration inside and showed it right away. I mean, it is understandable when you miss a straight shot and how you feel about it afterwards, but punching the table after that shows nothing but your own frustration. Ascending to number 7, we have Ronnie O'Sullivan with his rude gestures. That's right. This was another moment where people who like snooker got to see this side of Ronnie O'Sullivan. In one of his games against Judd Trump, Ronnie was seen doing some inappropriate thing with his cue stick. However, he got noticed by the referee and was given a warning. But once he got approached by her, Ronnie started explaining himself as to what exactly he was doing with the stick. Well, I wonder what exactly Ronnie was trying to do with his stick that he got a warning from the referee. What do you think about that, though? On to number 6, we have O'Sullivan telling a referee to chill out. In another intense moment against Stuart Bingham, O'Sullivan got distracted by the movement of the audience who were coming into the arena to see the game. While waiting for the audience to settle down, O'Sullivan took a break and sat next to his opponent. O'Sullivan stayed seated, with the referee instructing him to restart play after the fans had sat down. She was heard adding, "They're not going to let anybody in. They all have sat down now. We might be waiting 20 minutes. You know what I mean?" However, when the referee told him that the audience were settled and that the doors were closed, he still didn't get up. After a lengthy delay, O'Sullivan was assured by the referee, Desislava Bozilova, that the audience had taken their spots and that no more people would be allowed in. To which O'Sullivan replied by standing up and telling her to chill. To which Bozilova responded, "I am chilled."
I'm chill.
The Rockets' reaction elicited amusement from the crowd, and the 48-year-old went on to pot his ball, although he was subsequently eliminated from the event. Surprising enough? But I guess for O'Sullivan, that's not much of a big deal. Moving on to number 5, and let me tell you, this was one of the most shocking moments when O'Sullivan said this about the game itself. Ronnie O'Sullivan was asked about the game between Shaun Murphy and Stephen Hendry. Talking about his opinion on the question, Ronnie said that the snooker game should get rid of boring players and that it should be interesting and entertaining by adding fun into it. He also added, "Make them play snooker instead of draining the life out of everybody. It's not my thing, Snookers. I'd rather get on with the next frame. I think the game needs to be entertaining at the end of the day." Now, we all have seen that the game was between Sean Murphy and Stephen Hendry, so what exactly did he mean by boring players? Was he calling the two boring players? It's really not sure at this point what exactly did Ronnie mean by that, but one thing is for sure, and that is Ronnie's behavior, which is not being that good towards the other players of the game. What's your take on that? Moving on to number 4, we are going to take a look at the time when Ronnie O'Sullivan was warned again by the referee. At this point, O'Sullivan getting his warnings from the referees for his rude or inappropriate behavior is nothing new. But this one went a little too far. In one of his games against Judd Trump, O'Sullivan looked pretty frustrated and irritated from the start of the game, because his game was not going right or the way he wanted. At one point, O'Sullivan even said something which was not supposed to be said. But things then got real bad when O'Sullivan exchanged some words with the referee Olivier Martile and told him, "You saw nothing." Would you call it a normal thing or a behavioral issue when you tell someone something like that? Well, it could have gone better, but then we are talking about Ronnie O'Sullivan, so it did not. Ahead of us we have number 3, and here we are going to take a look at the time when O'Sullivan walked out of a match. Now, you might be wondering if that's even possible in snooker. But let me tell you, in O'Sullivan's case, it is. During the 2006 UK Championship, O'Sullivan demonstrated one of his most noteworthy behavioural oddities. O'Sullivan stepped out of his match against Stephen Hendry, shocking fans and experts alike. What is his rationale? Boredom. O'Sullivan freely confessed that he was not mentally involved in the game and felt driven to leave the arena. Walking out of a match, particularly one as prestigious as the UK Championship, was unusual in the world of snooker. It spurred questions about professionalism, sportsmanship, and the psychological impact of elite-level competition. While some chastised O'Sullivan for his perceived disrespect for the game and his opponent, others praised his candor and desire to prioritize his mental health. At number 2, we are going to talk about the time when the 7 times world champion of snooker clashed with the referee Terry Camilleri. Now, we all know that O'Sullivan's encounters with referees and officials have occasionally become confrontational, and up until this point, he seemed to be involved in several heated discussions during matches, ranging from disagreements over rulings to allegations of prejudice or incompetence. One such thing happened in this case. In 2016, during the Masters final against Barry Hawkins, O'Sullivan fought with referee Terry Camilleri about what he saw as unjust treatment. He accused Camilleri of being too young and inexperienced to officiate a high-stakes game properly. What exactly happened was something like this. The event emphasized the great pressure that referees experience in regulating player dynamics, while also safeguarding the game's integrity. But did O'Sullivan think about it at the time? Well, it didn't look like it. And on the top of the list today, we have O'Sullivan throwing his stuff away, which I think is something just shocking when it comes to a professional game like snooker. This was the time when O'Sullivan's frustration just bubbled over after he missed an easy shot on the green, while being completely unable to keep it all inside. What he did next was something unbelievable. So what are your thoughts on it? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed watching this video, then don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and tap the bell icon to never miss our future updates. Thanks for watching,